Well, hello, everybody. Russell Hill, and we have another extremely successful episode coming up at WTF, and that is what the FixedOPS to all of you out there. And I'm joined today by.
Hi, everybody. I'm Charity, the co-host here. And before I introduce you to our guest today, I want to take a minute to shout out our sponsor, InteliChek. Do you know how your service prices compare to the local average? Do you know how your advisors are handling calls with customers? With InteliChek reports, you can learn it all and maximize your place in the market. There are links to them in our description below. Now, I want to introduce our guest today. It's a very apt time to talk to him. Justin Shanken, the CEO of Blackbreach. Justin, welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we are happy to have a cybersecurity expert on with us today. And, give us like an overview of the type of things that you do.
Well, myself, I come from an intelligence background. I used to be a former counterintelligence special agent. I did that for the Army as well as at the agency level for the Department of Defense. And as time went on, I started to realize that essentially, through my 22 years of doing that, things kind of evolve, right? Threats evolve. And when I first started, cyber was not as much of a threat as it is now. It turned from Cold War mentality to terrorism. We're very familiar with that, to eventually cyber and cyber threats. And it's become nowadays the way that it's done, whether it's from hacking, ransomware, social engineering, everything from criminals to nation state actors. So we had to get in front of the threat, frankly, and there is challenging services out there to find folks that really know what they're doing. And so we created Blackbreach. And Blackbreach is our tagline is military grade cybersecurity. And we have folks that come from a very great, powerful pedigree to help dealerships. And that's, we were brought into the dealership space and here we are.
Yeah, that's how I found out about you. Phenomenal. As a matter of fact, not only 2 times, but I think there was another time with Dave Foy where you were on or something like that. Anyway, the guy is a genius. We heard him, a couple episodes. I mean, CDK, perfect thing. It affects so many of us. Okay. Yeah. And it's like AT&T, Home Depot, Lowe's. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And it's like, now it's like what's going on? And what exactly is happening and to what degree? Because it seems to me like these people is like every day their job. This is what they do. This is all they do. It's not personal. You pay. They sell the data? Do they keep it? Or is there some? Tell us what's going on, Justin.
Well, unfortunately, business is going on. This is business for cyber criminals, right? This is no different than dealerships making business. So I think if we think about it that way, I think culturally we kind of have a problem of thinking of cyber criminals as bots and computers and software. That's not the case. These are people and organizations here to make money. And one of those things, as we're all very familiar with, is ransomware. So with ransomware is a business, and it's basically shutting down a computer system. Usually you hack into a system to a victim and then turn around and lock them up and hold them for ransom. But where it takes it to a next step, I think we all kind of know that at this point, is where the business and the culture has gone in the cyber criminal community. Now we have, and this isn't very hard to really fathom, ransomware as a service. So what that means is—
I'm sorry, say that again.
Ransomware as a service. Okay. So we at Blackbreach have pen testing as a service. Pen testing is where we hack people and we do that. When you add as a service, it just takes that as ongoing, continuous. It's not just once. Okay. Ransomware as a service. How many times do I hear a day? We're too small. We're under the radar. We're not this. It won't happen. That's what I'm thinking. Us, right? Yeah. All these things. Who would care? Well, I'd like to throw that out the window, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. It's very much a fishnet approach. Okay. So when you have different concepts like ransomware as a service, there are folks out there that like to hack, and they're good at it. But are they the same people that want to deal with bank accounts? Are they the same people that want to deal with negotiations? Are they the same people that want to kind of take the risk or threat to the exposure. So what they'll do is there's groups that will just continuously hack. They'll hack entities, hack, do everything that they're supposed to do, and then sell that to other entities that want to basically take and buy the opportunity and then set that stage. So many of the times, some of these different cyber criminals don't even know what they're getting into. They're sending things in so much mass, they may not know who CDK is. They may not know who AT&T is a little different, but a lot of these, they don't really even know what they've got. They just know that they're in, they've got the backups, they've got everything, and then they'll post it out there and say, what bad guy, what other entity wants to buy this? Okay. And then those entities may know who CDK is. Those entities may know this is a US based and I'm Russia or I'm China or I'm some of these other entities and I want to cripple those things. They sell that off. So when we think of business and in this space, it's bigger than just I'm a solo artist hitting another entity, taking it all on myself, doing that. No, these are very well-oiled machines.
Where do they come from?
Well, that's a great question. All over is the answer. But it depends on who they are. So there are many entities that come out of India and Africa, right, that are notoriously known. Definitely Russia, definitely China. They're coming from everywhere around the world. And frankly, it's very hard to get what we call attribution, really finding out, because it's very easy to hop around to different IP addresses. And, it takes a lot of effort to really see where they're out of. Usually a little trick that we've done before is kind of the programming logic or code is written in a certain language. But we've also seen other cyber criminals that will write it in another language to make you think they're coming from here. So again, it's a cat and mouse, but depending on the place and organizations, usually is the different types of tactics. China, there's the military piece, and then there's the criminal piece. A lot of India and China, India and Africa are very traditional criminal, kind of the things you're used to seeing that you would kind of deal with. So it just really depends. Russia is very surgical what they have. There's a lot of cyber criminal organizations and syndicates that come out of Russia and even create their own ransomware, as well as partnering with the nation state actors in the government. So there's, again, it's a whole community that makes billions and billions of dollars.
And is the purpose of it strictly money? Because there's a part of it that feels kind of personal to me. Like, you know what I mean?
I do. So the business piece of it, probably money. The nation state actor of it, the Russian government, Putin, right? The Chinese government, not so much money. It's about influence and power. So for example, when CDK got hit and it leaked out that it was Black Suit, and Black Suit originates, the attribution is coming from Eastern European or Russia. Well, if that was sold to to Russia, they know, well, wait a second, this can be 3.3% of the US GDP. I can say I want $25 million. I can say I want $10 million, but do I really want anything? I may just want to keep it wrapped up because of their position in Ukraine, or within it becomes very geopolitical at that point.
If what I know about CDK, which is probably very little compared to what you know, but so they hacked, they have this encryption key, they have a dollar amount, whether it's open to negotiation or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't know exactly what they have. Do they, are their intent in this particular scenario, is it just about the money so they can get their stuff back? And do they also sell it to the black market too, to different entities as well? Or are they good stewards of the hacking professionals they are? All they really care about is they found a vulnerability, they got in, and they get $25 million or $80 million or whatever, and they turn it back on and they go about their, is it like that?
Well, these are great questions, Russell. You're hitting the nail on the head. First and foremost, It is about money, and sometimes let's step away from the nation state piece we were talking about and the intelligence and geopolitical. If I'm an organization that has successfully ransomed another company in the US, and I have no idea who they are, sometimes it comes out later, I realize how big this is. And so you may start out with the typical, hey, give us $500,000, more of the average. And then at some point, they kind of realize, wait a second, I've got a big fish here. So sometimes they'll even turn around and go 500. Oh, sorry about that. It was 25 million for this, right? And the number starts increasing and the auction goes off the block, right?
My gosh.
And that's very frustrating for victims because frankly, these, cyber criminals are very good at what they do traditionally. And they're also very busy. They get so many successes that it is very tough for them to go, which one is this one? Which one is that one? And that's why I was telling you some folks and professionals out there like to do the hacking part, but they don't want to manage all the other piece of it. These are two different personalities. And I think we can appreciate that in dealerships, the different types of sales,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Very similar, right?
Absolutely.
And so depending on what that is, it can become more and more. Now, getting to your next piece of, is that it? Well, unfortunately, traditionally, it's not. These, it's extortion at the root of it. And you say, hey, I have your information, pay me some money. I'm going to give it back. We're the most honorable. I've been part of negotiations and read these and seen many.
We're
and
the
many
most
of them,
honorable hackers,
the
right?
most honorable hackers. And we hear this all the time, right? This comes up. We're the most honorable. We promise by. We have a great reputation. Like it's ironic, but that's the way it's perceived in the negotiation. You can trust us. Just pay us Bitcoin, pay us something, it's the typical unidentified amount of money. Here you go. But if they release your information on the dark web, you're essentially paid twice. I make money. The dark web is a huge marketplace, just like the internet. It's no different. It just has different access points, or it's a little tougher to get to. The dark web is also a very friendly place, can be. A lot of hackers work with each other and post, hey, I'm trying to get into this type of system. Can you help me? And they will absolutely pass information back and forth with each other. But for the victims, it's very frustrating because many of times an honorable cyber criminal, however we want to define it, or they define themselves, will take that information and then do what? Get paid twice. Now, it does depend on what their motives are. It does depend on, sometimes they do get scared, right? They're people at the end of the day. Sometimes they get a fish, they get in and they rob a bank bigger than they thought and get more attention than they ever wanted.
Yeah.
And see, the US has taken action. The FBI has taken action. They've had some really good wins, but unfortunately, those wins are very long running. It's very hard for them. It's international. There's a lot of challenges to the folks that are doing really great work with that. And they don't get that day to day. But the average criminal, I mean, think about it. You rob something and it ends up being the governor's house, and you go, oh man, I might have just stepped in it. And that happens quite a bit. So I've even seen in some negotiations where they've just given the keys up and just said, hey, we didn't realize, we didn't know what this was. I'm sorry. So
Really?
realize, yeah, I've seen a lot of interesting things. Or there was at one time where Putin, this was years ago, we made an agreement with the Russian government that they wouldn't go after infrastructure. We said, look, if you're going to go after stuff, we need to go after military target to military target. And there was kind of a gentleman's agreement at one time that lasted 5 seconds, right?
Short-lived, right? Yeah.
It didn't last very long. But the reality of it was, can you imagine if you're that hacker that's a Russian based, you get in and then all of a sudden you realize you broke and overstepped Putin. Well, this is infrastructure. Well, wait a second. No, never mind. Take the keys. We'll go find the next one. They're very successful. They have so many. So please try to remember when you think about this space, the behavior that it is people and organizations with management that are making billions of dollars, probably more than we are. And they have a framework for that. So
how did CDK become susceptible? Like, how did they get in the door? And is there something we can learn from that in the automotive industry?
Well, let me first say this, and usually I start with this. I have no inside knowledge on CDK. I have no intimate. I've read what I've read. I've heard what I've heard, and I've been able to kind of assess that to other similar case studies, right, or what I've personally dealt with.
Sure.
So I just want to kind of say that I have no specific inside knowledge. I wasn't helping them on the incident response with that, and I do want to give CDK a little bit of a cushion in the fact of there's an immense amount of pressure when you're in this situation that became very political and it affected the economy, as well as the damage that's to come, lawsuits, et cetera, right? So with that aside, I do want to say this. People or entities that fall victim to cybercrime can usually defend themselves against it from getting in front of it, essentially. And that has not kind of been the case in many cases, unfortunately, right? They look at it and they go, what's our cybersecurity policy? What if we get hit? What's our incident response? And they don't do as much a great job of investing in getting in front of, are we doing the right thing from a security perspective for our customers, let alone the types of information that we handle.
This is Darren. Darren would rather have his car serviced and repaired at the dealership where he purchased it. But like so many people, he believes that going to the dealership will cost significantly more than if he went to the local competitor down the street. This is Bob. He is the service manager at a local dealership and wants to get more traffic to his service department. Bob, like so many service managers, doesn't believe that he is double the cost of an aftermarket shop, but truth be told, he really doesn't know what his competition is charging. Then Bob found InteliChek. InteliChek has gathered over 13 million prices for over 9,000 dealers and retailers. Now Bob can see how his prices stack up with a shop down the street, and he can adjust accordingly. He can also show Darren these prices with custom-made flyers and digital menu boards. Now Darren can get his car serviced at the dealership where he purchased it and feel confident that he is getting the best possible service at a competitive price.
Is it HIPAA? Is it ITAR? Is it ITAR is like export controls? Is it classified? Is it CUI, controlled unclassified information? Is it PII, personal identifiable? There's so many different things now that everyone is starting to learn. And I do think that there may have been a gap there.
Would you say, because since this has happened, we've talked about it with our own company. Would you say that having somebody come in and, which is, I'm sure you do, cybersecurity, requirements or whatever the case may be, if you have that or updated that, that's probably not even good enough anymore. You got to go far beyond what the minimum compliances are, in how we do business, licensed and insured and all that kind of stuff. Or is there, this could go on for hours, but is there certain protocols in place? And like, for example, I'm sure my stuff is out there somewhere. I got a lot of different accounts all over the place. And I'm going to say I'm one of those people. And I think you talked about this the first time I ever heard of you, but my passwords are probably really hackable for somebody who knows what the heck they're doing. What can we do, Justin?
Okay, well, that's a lot. So let me unpack it one piece at a time.
I'm sorry.
And if I miss something, throw a rock at my head. I'm a knuckle dragger at the end of the day. Here's the deal. First, find, if you're a dealerships, we're speaking with dealerships out here, right? That's who we're talking to.
Right.
Find the correct partner. There is a difference between IT security, IT, and cybersecurity. Okay, IT is equally important, but we do not do IT. We do cybersecurity. It is a very specific, different discipline. There are IT security elements that are equally important, like firewalls, MFA, passwords, the things that you mentioned here. But at the end of the day, IT is gaining you access to things that break. If you're sitting back and you go, hey, something doesn't work for me, IT, can you please help with that? In the cybersecurity realm, we're doing the opposite, right? We're hacking you and we're trying to limit access to those. And they're just two very different disciplines, different certifications, different backgrounds. Coming from the military and the agency side of the house, you have to think about it like this. We do a lot of hacking for our customers. That's what penetration testing is. And we do it first so we can show you the holes, and then it passes to your IT, and your IT would help fix those holes. We would work in unison with them, right?
Okay.
So there's a really good correlation between the two, the synergies, okay? However, you also can't have the fox guarding the hen house. So let's talk about the compliance piece you had kind of mentioned of what we're supposed to do with this. Well, you're supposed to do as part of the FTC safeguards, and this is the bare minimum. I mean, I'm talking about bare minimum with this of what's being kind of standard across the board of having multi-factor, how are you protecting your information, penetration testing, continuous monitoring, et cetera. There's many, many things that go up into it. We are the only service out there right now that does 100% solution. It's quite a bit. It's not just tools, and it's not just policies. There are many different elements that go into that require different levels of expertise. Okay. But when I say the fox can't guard the hen house, if your IT is running all your IT, but then testing themselves, that would never work in any audit, right? You can't do that in finance. You can't do that in HIPAA and healthcare. You can't, and that's the same thing in dealerships. I also like to say, just because you buy a golden wrench does not make you a mechanic. There are a lot of really powerful tools that you off the shelf can go buy, that IT elements will go buy. But these things you've probably heard of, CrowdStrike and SentinelOne and some of these that are starting to advertise more and more. But the reality of them is they are very much golden wrenches. They need lots of tuning. It's like having a car, right? If you're not maintaining it, it's going to fall apart.
That's right.
Very simple mindset. It's the same thing here. So we see, unfortunately, a lot of people that will buy these types of tools, and they can be very expensive. And then it produces an output, and they don't even know what to do with that output, right? Or they don't have time to manage that output.
That's the car business.
It can be, yeah. Yes. Yeah. You said it, not me. So you would know better than I would, right? I'm learning. So one of the things that's a struggle that we've seen, FTC safeguards rule and compliance for cybersecurity requires continuous monitoring. Well, we've seen some entities go, wait a second, I bought a software and it's on all the time. It's continuously monitoring me. That is not what that means. I know that there may be some miscommunications, and we want to find the least expensive ways to get and cover the dot the I's. We have, and what's required is a 24/7 SOC, a security operations center. That's eyes on 3 a.m. on Easter Sunday if something were to happen. And they are already looking for stopping and managing and tooling those said tools. And it requires that, and that's continuous monitoring. So there's been kind of a cultural shift of understanding these types of tools, right? Because dealerships know tools, right? FixedOPS knows tools. They know how to maintain their tools. They know the importance of that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're just doing it with a different piece.
Makes sense. Charity.
So is there something that like the average employee can do to safeguard ourselves? Because I've heard of, them getting in through accidents, through staff. So, I mean, just to share with our audience, what can you do? What can you be careful of?
Yes. So let's talk about that. Just the easiest stuff to just kind of identify your own information or where you're at risk. Number one, anyone that has an account with CDK needs to change their password. The reason why I say that is, and this is the simplest thing to do, if that information leaks to the dark web, the goal is to sell those credentials, right? Wow, I've got all these different entities I can get into. If you've already changed those credentials, there may be some PII that you're just going to lose, maybe dates of birth, VIN numbers, who knows, right? I don't know what these lists look like. But the good news is, if I see a username and password at an entity I want to try to compromise, if I've already changed that, well, guess what? That information's already old. But we as humans get complacent, and it's really frustrating to do that. One great thing, and this would be more on the IT security side, is to have kind of a single sign-on. You've seen this with Google, right? They house all your passwords in one place. Apple has this. There's many different, I think Okta and some other different brands out there that do this. So having that is a really powerful tool. There's a lot of facial recognition through your phone now, right?
Yep.
That's bio. So that's a lot tougher for them. The other thing I want you to do, and this gets back to Russell, because you're my man. I like what you said earlier. If you have easy passwords, go online and just Google it, password cracker. And you can put a similar password in there and it will tell you the exact seconds to 1 trillion years to pack your password through a password breaker.
But wait a minute, Justin. I have a VPN that I turn on sometimes.
Okay. Sometimes.
Yeah. What the hell does that mean?
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're jumping all over the place. So VPNs are great, right? And they're going to make you look like you're coming from a different place, essentially, and give you some level of anonymity. Okay. But the reality of it is that some VPNs have backdoors and just Google it. How many VPNs have had issues?
Sure.
Some are better than others. And don't get me wrong, nothing is perfect. There is a concept I want everyone to learn on this if you don't learn anything else. It's called an O day or 0 day. This happens to the Googles. This happens to the Microsofts. This happens to the biggest, organizations, to the Apples, where someone has found a thing that no one, hence the name 0 day, has seen before, or O day. Okay. And those things are extraordinarily dangerous. We're constantly looking in the US government for these, for the next O day. Okay. But remember this, it's a silver bullet. So the minute I use it, if I'm a bad guy, I have to use it in the right way, because the minute it's exposed, it gets what? Patched.
Yep.
So if I'm going to use my silver bullet, I'm not just going to use it on Mickey Mouse mom and pop. I'm going to go after DOD. I'm going to go after, the Disneys, the Fortune 100s. I'm going to use that bullet the best I can, right? So we see that, or have that thing kind of a rippling effect. Oh, if I get this one, it gets me into all the dealerships. It gets me into all these entities, right? So there's never 100% for anyone that does software development. I think they can understand this. You build a thing and there's bugs. You fix those bugs and those bugs make bugs. Sure. And it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Right? But the reality of it is, for us today, I do think that we get a little defeated. We hear of AT&T that just happened, Equifax. We hear of CDK. We hear of, and we're just like, at this point, we shouldn't care. That's just frankly not true.
Yeah.
Let me guess. At this very moment, another vendor is walking up to your lot with something shiny to sell. Before you head back and hide in your office, let me take a minute to tell you about my friend Dawn Pelham and my friends over at Global Dealer Solutions. They exist to help you find solutions to problems, some of which you might not even know you have. Best of all, they can manage as many products and services as needed for you, helping cut down on multiple vendor visits and distractions. And if you need anything, you have one number to call or text for the response all dealers like to hear. On it, GDS understands that successful dealerships require more than a set it and forget it mentality. And they'll be with you every step of the way, from setup, implementation, training, and support. And if necessary, they'll even cancel non-performing products for you. No pushback, no arguments, just a solutioneer executing course corrections as needed. Check out gdsdealers.com to learn the difference and set up a time to meet. Let's see if they're a good fit for you.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
The US Fed as well.
Yes, the US Fed, right?
Yeah,
Government. And we go, wait a second. Now, the US Fed, that's probably an O-Day silver bullet situation, right? I don't know as much about that case study. I'd have to kind of go look. But yeah, essentially, these are huge. We had it with OPM. Anyone that had a classified, like a clearance, the Office of Personnel Management lost. This is a frustrating one for me. The amount of information we have to fill out to get a clearance and renew, our neighbors, blood types, just God. Information. And then to have that information lost is just not recoverable, right? And that was unfortunately under the U.S. government's watch also. And there were repercussions of that and some shuffling of government organizations. But I do want to say this. For dealers, you cannot look, well, one, you're not allowed to. There's a compliance element to it. Two, the FTC safeguards is just the beginning. It does not cover social engineering very well. It doesn't even mention the word phishing in it. And we all know the word phishing.
Oh yeah.
Now that but I will say, if I put my my future hat on, right, of telling the future, this CDK piece will open up the doors to, in my opinion, more stringent vendor management. They were a vendor, right, at the end of the day. More stringent regulations. I think they're going to, I can see this coming down from the FTC and the government piece, because they see a need. When you have 3% of the US GDP that's held ransom in one choke point, we have to, it's our duty to get in front of that so it doesn't happen again. So I do think that there will be new, we've already seen the FTC do some updates, right? Now you have to self-report. We have some other situations with that, but the reality of it is that essentially you cannot hide your head in the sand anymore. And you also can't just rely on cybersecurity insurance anymore, right? And you have to get in front of these tools. And we have with our company a ransomware warranty. We have a warranty against ransomware. It is possible. Now, there's a lot of fine print in it. It needs everyone doing the right thing.
Oh yeah.
But if we do that, it is possible. So when we get defeated like this, it's for nothing, right? We can get in front of this. You just have to invest in it and get in front of it. And frankly, the cost savings and the return on investment are so huge of getting in front of this. And I think anyone on your podcast from the FixedOPS side knows you maintain your tools.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know what's in CDK and the information that's in there about the consumer. I mean, it has far-reaching negative ramifications for if that data is breached, and obviously it was. But it's been a wake-up call for our industry too, about technology. And there's a lot of people out there that adapted and were able to go back to some things prior to that much reliance on technology. But no, you go ahead, Charity.
Well, I was just about to wrap up. Is Justin, is there anything that you would have wished we asked that we didn't?
No, I think you all asked some really great questions. I think right now it's just kind of a cultural exposure in the dealership piece. I don't care if you work in service or a general manager, of really understanding where your lanes are in the cybersecurity realm. I do want, kind of as a takeaway, is that if you partner with the right entities, for example, I don't do my own taxes, right? That would be silly, right? Sure. Uncle Sam would be right up my tailpipe. I hire someone to do this. It's important. We've seen now with CDK just the cost of one shutdown. And also these things, what we've also seen is you're actually able to save your clients a lot of money, because a lot of things like antivirus, simple little things you're kind of paying for here or there, when you have the right service, you don't even need those anymore, right? These things are taking care of that. So you can actually rob Peter to pay Paul, and it's a lot cheaper than what you think it is. And just make sure you have a reputable service. The last thing I did want to mention is liability. The liability is massive right now, and I follow this from the attorney side in the class action lawsuits. And I don't mean what's going after CDK. That is another element of it, right? Sure. Dealers are now suing CDK, as well as customers are suing CDK in two separate class actions. I mean the dealerships. The dealerships right now have culturally, from what we've seen, been like, wow, we had a breach. Okay. Did we survive it? Does anyone need to know? Well, now you have to self-report under FTC. Got it. Well, those days are kind of long gone. I'm going to tell you why. A lot of these attorneys are going on the dark web, buying the breach data. And as you may have seen, a lot of them turn around and go, oh man, have you taken this drug? Were you a victim of this? Were you stationed at whatever place? And it's very tough for those types of attorneys in class action suits to find victims. They're collecting that to make their piece of the pie bigger. If they go to the dark web and see the breach and it's from your dealership, they have the cheat sheet right there. They just start calling names. And we have seen over and over again right now, dealerships that are getting involved in these lawsuits. And that lawsuit is 20 times more than the price of just paying for service and having someone maintaining it for you. it's just astronomical.
So Justin, here's, black breach. Here's what I want to say to all of you out there listening, because you're going to see and hear little tidbits along the way. We know this is important. And I've heard this guy, I thought it was twice, but it's actually 3 times, twice in the last 3 weeks, but prior. But here's what I want to say. The people that we have on here, and us, and I would implore you, because he's going to give up his information in just a minute, before you just go hiring people you don't know, et cetera. We know how automotive is. Word of mouth is really, really powerful, okay? And we believe in this guy and what he does and what he stands for. And I want you to reach out to him, just to have him come in, whatever you do, analysis or whatever you do, before you hire somebody you don't know, because he's becoming a known quantity. As large as automotive is, it's really very small, which all of you know. And you could quickly burn bridges if you don't have a level of character and integrity, which I believe he has and his company has. And us. So how do they get a hold of you, Justin?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. It was very flattering. You can either reach me on LinkedIn. Again, our website is www.blackbreach.com. We're more than happy to reach out to sales@blackbreach.com. It's that simple. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're always kind of posting things that are not just the average thing that you see, right? It's very hyper-focused and coming from the expertise. Or you can reach out to our sales piece, to me, and I usually don't provide this, but my personal email is jshanken, SHANKEN, so JSHANKEN @blackbreach.com. So if you are interested in us kind of coming in and looking at what your situation is, or making sure you're setting up correctly, or just taking it completely off your hands, it's what we do, and we're very good about it. And integrity and trust is hands down our number one priority.
Well,
and
thank you.
We provide military grade cybersecurity.
Yeah, thank you very much. And a lot of you already know, in the circles that we run in, you've already heard his name. You've already heard him on Clubhouse and maybe other podcasts and stuff like that. And I wish I could become an investor in your company right now, because unfortunately, under the circumstances, timing is good for you, and that's great as well. But this is really important. It's important to me. It's important to us, and it should be important to all of you. We're going to have to go to some different levels. The status quo. So to know something and not to take action on is really not to know at all. Okay. Now you know who Black Breach is, and you know who Justin is and what they do. And this is a topic that everybody, not a few, everybody in our industry is talking about. So when this gets released, once you like him and love him and share it, and repost it, or reach out to him as a memory, or you got his personal email now, okay? And anyway, I just, we could go on and on and on. You're such a wealth of information, and that's why it was important for us to have you on, because this is something everybody's talking about. It's very, everybody needs to be get a checkup from the neck up, so to speak. This is important. I'm in so many different rooms, and this isn't an occasional conversation like it was prior to this. This is every single day. I'm reading something, or all of a sudden somebody just got hacked that I hear about from time to time. It's like it's happening all the time. Every day I hear about something, and it's like we should all be really concerned about this. So I'm going to take some action. We are taking some action. Justin, thank you so much for being on the show and contributing what you contributed. And man, talk about a successful episode of WTF. And that's what the FixedOPS to all of you out there. I'm going to be mentioning it because I'm in meetings like this all day, every day. So I'm going to be mentioning specifically you because you're a known quantity. Not that there's other people out there that don't do it. I get it. But for all of you out there that know me, and you've heard recently his name and the name of his company, reach out to me if you want information, etc. I normally don't even go overboard like this, but this is huge, and everybody needs to participate. So thank you once again, Justin.
Yes, thank you, Justin.
So much. Yeah, that was very flattering. Thank you.
Thank you.